From SWIFT to the IMF to the petrodollar system, institutions once seen as unshakable pillars of the global economy are now facing growing uncertainty. Middle Eastern countries, BRICS nations, and even the direction of capital flows are undergoing major shifts. In this video, we'll explore how this transformation is unfolding, step by step. Since the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine war in 2022, a turning point has emerged in the global financial system. The US cut several Russian banks off from the SWIFT payment network in an attempt to apply financial pressure. While this tactic had short-term strategic impact, it also raised alarm among many non-Western nations. Relying on SWIFT now seemed to mean surrendering financial sovereignty to the US. SWIFT, long dominated by the US and Europe, connects over 11,000 financial institutions worldwide. However, its neutrality is increasingly in doubt, prompting countries to seek alternatives. China launched the CIPS cross-border RMB payment system, Russia developed SPFS, and India began local currency settlement deals with multiple Middle Eastern nations, all aimed at reducing reliance on SWIFT and the US dollar. As of the end of 2024, the US dollar still accounts for roughly 49.7% of SWIFT transactions. But its growth has stalled. Meanwhile, the RMB briefly rose to 4.7% in 2023, ranking 5th globally. Although still far behind the dollar and euro, the trend shows growing international adoption of the RMB. Changes in the Middle East are especially notable. Saudi Arabia has entered talks with China to settle oil trades in RMB. The UAE signed a local currency settlement agreement with India, bypassing SWIFT entirely. These actions may not yet replace the existing dollar system, but they reflect a clear desire for greater diversification in payment structures. The region is emerging as a key node in the reconstruction of financial institutions and capital flows. Traditionally, the Middle Eastern economy has depended heavily on oil exports, priced almost exclusively in US dollars, forming the foundation of the petrodollar system. But the dynamics are changing. Strategically, Middle Eastern states are no longer aligned solely with the US, instead deepening economic and settlement ties with China, Russia, and India. Sovereign wealth funds are shifting allocations as well. As of 2024, Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, PIF, has over $1.15 trillion in assets, with significant investments in Asian tech, AI, and ESG. UAE's Mubadala directs about 40% of its assets toward Asia and emerging markets. The region is also participating in institutional restructuring. It now settles some energy trades in RMB, uses CIPS, and has formally joined the expanded BRICS bloc. This is not just diplomatic balancing, it is a strategic redefinition of financial sovereignty. The Middle East holds vast reserves, energy export capacity, and financial deployment power. If it continues to diversify its settlement mechanisms, its impact could extend far beyond the region, potentially making it a model and early mover in global de-dollarization efforts. The IMF has long been one of the world's most influential multilateral financial institutions, offering loans and policy guidance to its members. However, IMF programs often come with structural reform conditions, such as fiscal austerity or currency liberalization, frequently viewed as tools for exporting Western ideology and control. The IMF's governance structure is highly concentrated. As of 2024, the US holds 16.5% of the vote. Most major decisions require over 85% approval, giving the US de facto veto power. By contrast, countries like China, Japan, and Germany each hold less than 7%. In response, the BRICS nations established the New Development Bank, NDB, in 2015. It promotes lending without political strings and emphasizes multi-currency financing. According to its latest annual report, 22% of its 2023 loans were denominated in non-USD currencies, including the RMB, Indian rupee, and Brazilian real. For Middle Eastern countries, these are more than new sources of funding, they represent alternative models and a chance to reshape international alignment. Within the IMF, they are passive recipients. Within NDB and similar emerging frameworks, they gain greater control and monetary sovereignty. From SWIFT to the IMF, and from payment systems to investment strategy, each move the Middle East makes is nudging the global financial order toward greater diversity. The US dollar remains dominant, but pressure is mounting on multiple fronts. According to IMF data, The dollar's share of global foreign exchange reserves fell from 71% in 2000 to just 58.4% in 2023, its lowest in 2 decades. Meanwhile, new systems like the NDB, CIPS, and local currency agreements are being built, signaling a shift away from a world solely defined by the Washington Consensus. Instead, we are entering an era of institutional competition and rebalanced influence. In the coming decade, where will global capital flow? Will the Middle East remain a follower, or become an active participant, and even architect, of a new system? The outcome will shape the rules of international finance for the next generation. The global order is no longer unipolar. Middle Eastern nations are no longer just recipients of financial systems, they are becoming participants, even catalysts. Institutions like SWIFT and the IMF are no longer seen as irreplaceable. Alternative payment and lending architectures are gaining ground. And stablecoins and Bitcoin? They are the decentralized extension of this broader shift away from dollar centrality, a topic we'll cover in a future video. Yes, the US dollar is still powerful, but this isn't a sudden collapse. It's a long-term restructuring. This channel is here to help you break down financial tools and investment ideas in a clear and logical way. We talk about economic trends, misunderstood products, and how to think critically about markets. If you find this kind of content helpful, subscribe, give it a like, and drop a comment to tell me what topics you want to explore next.